Let it go. I release the thing I'm clinging to. I release what's holding me, and I'm falling into God's love. I let it be. There's nothing more for me to do, nothing more to say. I'm just falling into God's love. I feel Spirit holding me. It is lifting me on high. I let it go. I release the thing I'm clinging to. I release what's holding me, and I'm falling into God's love. I let it be. There's nothing more for me to do, nothing more to say. I'm just falling into God's love. I feel Spirit holding me. It is lifting me on high. I rise on a power I can't see. On the wings of love I don't ask why. I don't need to understand everything. Ooh, and it's by faith I fly, and it's by grace I see. I see. I
May our hearts be open. Oh, may our hearts be open.
Good morning, open heart. I'm so glad to be with everyone today. Let's pause and take a few deep breaths together before preparing ourselves for today's gathering and for today's message. Today, I'm grateful for this opportunity to be together again, wherever we are, some nearby and some far away, some in this moment and some being with us later. Wherever and whenever you are watching, let us take this opportunity to calm our thoughts, to be ready for the gifts of our gathering, knowing that we are all connected by Spirit, and knowing that the more we are able to let go of all the distractions, all the to-dos, all the what-ifs, the what's next, and to just be in the present, listening deeply, the more our hearts will be able to receive today's words. I see us all now being present and open for today's journey. Amen, Ashe, and so it is.
Love, be encouraged, love will see you through. Love, be the first to love, fill your heart with love, be about it, love. Sing a song about love, never doubt that love, inspirational love, it's our shelter, love, now and always, love, before and after, love. Love, love gives you courage, love heals your heart, love, it's the best thing you can't go wrong with, cause it's eternal, love, and it has no end, so stand on up for love, full dimensional love, it's our shelter, love, now and always, love, before and after, love, love, love gives you courage, love heals your heart, it's the best thing you can't go wrong with, cause it's eternal, and it has no end, so stand on up for love, for unconditional love is our shelter, love, now and always, love, before and after, love, love, love.
Mother, there's so many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we got to find a way to bring some loving here today, yeah.
Oh, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, but only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring
love, 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 love.
Gives us courage, mends your heart.
Love.
It's the best thing.
Love.
You can't go wrong.
Love.
'Cause it's eternal.
Love.
And it has no end.
Love.
So stand on up for love. Unconditional love is our shelter. Love. Now and always love. Before and after love. 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 Father, Father. Everybody might think we're wrong. But who are they to judge us? Simply 'cause our faith is strong. You know we've got to find a way to bring some money in it. It's eternal.
Love.
And it has no end.
Love.
It's eternal.
Love.
And it has no end.
Love.
It's eternal.
Love.
And it has no end.
Love.
So stand on up for love. Unconditional love. It's our shelter.
Love.
Now and always.
Love.
Before and after
Love.
love. Love.
What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Good morning and welcome to our Heartstream for this Sunday, July the 27th. I'm so glad you've joined us for this morning's Heartstream. As always, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your support and telling others about it, and also your financial gifts that are also important for us to continue to stream to you, and for all of the ways in which you do continue to share. So appreciative, so very, very appreciative. Today, also reminding you that at 11 a.m. at Unity Christian Church, 3345 McCorkle Road in Whitehaven in Memphis, if you're here, you can come out and to share with us today there for their celebration. And because this is the fourth Sunday, every fourth Sunday, family and friends fellowship meal following. And so it's an opportunity to come to have a meaningful celebration, a good time, and then to have some good food with others. So I invite you to do that. Also, coming up next month in August, beginning on Wednesday, August the 6th, we begin a class as it's the metaphysical lab class. Is based on the book E Squared by Pam Grout. And as some of you may recall from Open Heart, we've done that before. It was a great opportunity. And I just really feel like it's a time to use it again. It's a book that's filled with experiments using the principles that we talk about, the principles that we teach, and actually applying them and seeing how they work. Because a part of what this entire teaching is all about, it's not just something that's theoretical. It's not something that is just debated, but it's something that has practical application in our lives. And the teachers always urge you to try this for yourself. Make it work for yourself. See if it works for you, not just spout things off, but actually put it into practice. And that's what we'll be doing. It will be a fun thing. It's an opportunity to do so. There's a sign-up form that will be on Open Heart's website for those of you who are coming from the Open Heart side, if you will. And it's going to be a class that will be offered both in person and online, because we're going to stream the class online, so that if you are in another location or not able to make it out to Unity, you can still participate because it's going to take place at the Unity Church at 6 p.m. beginning on Wednesday, August the 6th, and we will continue for approximately 8 weeks. So it is something that I think that will benefit you and hope to have you participate as a part of the class. And as always, I greet you, I bless you, I see God in you.
Today is a day like no other day. Just think and you'll know that it's true. Days like today should be holidays. So I'm singing this message to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
There are several ways to give to Open Heart: through our Cash App at OHSC 901, online at OHSC901.com, or text the word GIVE to 615-422-4290.
A powerful way to start or continue your day is with our daily prayer call. Each morning, at 8 a.m. Central Time, a prayer team member provides an inspirational reading and an affirmative prayer. Join us at 901-586-8755.
Hey, if you're in the Memphis area, each week you're invited to come out to Unity Christian Church, 3345 McCorkle Road, to join us for our Sunday celebration. This isn't just about John speaking, but it's about an opportunity for two powerful, wonderful congregations to come together. That's right, because we have people from Open Heart who join in singing, who work as platform assistants, and other things that happen on those Sundays. And if you're here, it's an opportunity for you to come out and to share with us. If you're not able to be here in person, you can always stream with us at Unity Christian Church, both on the Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. Hope to see you soon.
Run
Living from your vision. Your vision for tomorrow determines your actions today. I want to share with you a conversation that I had with a person this week. And yes, I have her permission to share the conversation. I don't want you to think you talk to John and next thing you know, you hear it in a message. No, I actually had a conversation later and I said that I think that there's some things that we talked about that I think that can be helpful for others. So I do have the permission to share this conversation, but she was talking with me about her job situation. She's coming up on 2 years and she feels unappreciated in the job. No one's really acknowledging that it's going to be 2 years and the hard work she's put in, some of the innovations that she's brought to the position and the kinds of conflicts and other things that have happened with her coworkers and how she's looking, as we all are, for more money. And as we had those things, and she said, well, I'm in the process of looking for another job. And hopefully when I find that other job, at least there'll be some people who we have a better relationship. At least there'll be recognition and maybe there might be more money and hopefully they'll pay me close to what I'm making now and some other things. And my reply in response to her was, it sounds like that you are really just talking about the continuation of the same job, just in another location. Same job, another location. Why not start to talk about your ideal job? Why not talk about coworkers that are harmonious and those get along in a collegial atmosphere? And why not talk about responsibilities that challenge you? Because that was another thing that came up. Have responsibilities that challenge you and bring out even more of your creative abilities. And why not have a salary that's maybe even double what you're making now? And she said, well, that sounds all good, but I deal in reality. And my thought was, and how's that working for you? The fact of the matter is that if you're going to look for change in your life, if you're going to look for something better to happen from your situation, don't stay stuck in, well, just hopefully it'll be like this, but begin thinking about what the ideal thing would be, how you would like to have that. You might even find out that somewhere down the road, rather than just a job, that you actually have a business, you become an entrepreneur or some other creative way in which you can do those things. But dreaming big, having a vision, casting a vision for something big. And she said, but again, I deal with reality. And I shared with her how one of my favorite authors and coaches and person who has a lot of inspirational videos, Wemi Opokunle, who says the line that delusion is the solution. Delusion is the solution. And she shortens it to Delulu is the Salulu. But basically the idea that when we start talking about our dreams, we start talking about our vision, then we have to, in some ways, be delusional. In other words, we have to detach ourselves for the moment from reality and begin dreaming of something bigger and seeing something bigger. I know the fact that on yesterday at my wife's spa, that we had an opportunity for the women of Unity and women from Open Heart to come together to have a spa day. And over 20 women ultimately attended that and had a great time. But I think about the fact that that spa didn't just happen. It was a result of the process of dreaming. It was a result of the process of casting a vision. As a matter of fact, Emma and Britannia that you see that sings with the Voices from the Heart and I, the three of us, would to get together on a regular basis and we would mastermind. That is, we would get together and we would talk about our dreams and we would talk about the things that we would like to have happen. And out of that emerged two very successful business women who saw the vision, who saw the things that they wanted to have happen. They saw ultimately what would become reality for them and has become reality for them. And I also was able to achieve things and achieving things. But the fact of it is that taking that time, taking the opportunity to do things out of which it emerges. And in that way, I'd like to you to see if you now to watch or look at this beautiful, magnificent image on screen. As you see this on screen, it's something that most commonly is known as Sagrada Familia by the architect Antonio Gaudi. This magnificent structure can be found in Barcelona, Spain. When Gaudi took over the structure and became in charge of the plans, what he made from it was something was never seen before. They call it a cathedral, and technically it's not a cathedral because the bishop has to reside there. But when you look at it, you can't think of anything but a cathedral. But it's not yet completed. They're estimating that probably in the year 2026 or somewhere along the way that it will probably be complete. And one of the important things about the structure is that when it began, it was simply a pile of rocks. But then it became this grand structure that's unlike anything else that has been seen before, unlike any other church structure that has been created anywhere. It makes me think about the quote from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry: "A rock pile ceases to be a rock pile the moment a man contemplates it, with bearing within him the image of a cathedral." Nowhere else will you see anything like this. And he led that. And it continues to be built. They're continuing to work on it. He could have stayed stuck with a pile of rocks looking down and thought about how much work was involved, but he looked up from the rocks and saw a cathedral. He cast the vision for it. He saw the vision there, and it began the process of a grand building that was unlike anything else seen before. And one thing I forgot to tell you, that is construction on this particular building began in 1883. That's right. It began in 1883. And it's predicted that it will be complete by 2026, 100 years after the death of Gaudi. As a matter of fact, it took 100 years from that time. And remember, he took over the process. But from that time on, because he died at the age of 73 in 1926. So if you can imagine all that time, a vision that he set, a vision that he cast, it wasn't even complete in his lifetime, but that didn't stop him from setting the vision and declaring that vision and working on it and motivating other people on that vision. Your vision for tomorrow determines your actions today. How many of you have a vision for your life? And are you living from your vision? I want to bring in a scripture from Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. "I will stand at my watchpost and station myself on the rampart. I will keep watch to see what God will say to me and what God will answer concerning my complaint. Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain on tablets so that a runner may read it. For there is still a vision for the appointed time. It speaks of the end and does not lie. If it seems to tarry, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay." There's several elements that are contained in this, and I'd like to take that again, as you know, from metaphysical interpretation of it. But the first, talking about the watch post or the watch tower. The watchtower stands for our spiritual awareness of a higher consciousness where we listen to the divine. We listen for the divine within, the guidance, the intuition, the nudges, the urging, the creative impulse, and all of that. But we listen for it. We become open and receptive to it. We have to stop and ask ourselves from time to time, are the thoughts that I'm having right now contributing to my vision? Am I getting caught up in all of the noise and everything that is going on, or am I focusing on my vision? Am I having thoughts that are helping me or thoughts that are hindering me? And if they are not helping me, then I need to change my thoughts, change your thinking, change your life. You connect with the divine mind. We connect with the divine mind through meditation, through affirmations, through prayer, through being open to the inspiration that comes from around us and from within us. But we become open to that. The watchtower that is there. And the important aspect is the second thing to talk about, the vision. The vision is the inner guidance, the divine idea or the inspired blueprint for your life. God had a blueprint. He had a vision. Again, I ask the question, do you have a vision for your life? And if so, how big is it? Can you see yourself living that life now, even if the other manifestation isn't yet visible? Because many people will say that you have to see it to believe it. But we know that in this teaching, we talk about the fact that we have to conceive it first. Because remember, all things created begin as an idea. They start with an idea, they're created twice. We have to conceive it in our minds, create it in our minds in order to be able to ultimately see it. So if we can conceive it, we can and believe it, then we can achieve it, understanding this. So which are you? I got to see it to believe it, or that who understands ultimately the creative process, the divine creative process. Because this is where and when the foundation for living a life worth living is established. The practice is to contemplate your greatest dream as God had contemplated his cathedral, as a completed idea in the creative mind of a universe that knows no limitations. In other words, the sky really is the limit. The only caveat is that this creative mind is waiting for you to upload your blueprint for the design. That blueprint is known as your belief system. What is your vision for life? Are you looking up or are you looking down? Be mindful of where you predominate your thoughts, because if you are aware of it or not, that is a design that you are uploading. I think about a story I read from Alan Cohen, who talked about working with a woman, helping her to envision things in her life as well. And as they were talking about it, he was asking her about the ideal thing and having time to do the things that she enjoyed. And she described sharing time going somewhere with her husband, and they were going out. And as they were going, she talked about, well, I think we probably would get a car, a limo to take us there, probably one that has space that was enough for my husband with his bad knees to get in the car. So wait. You're talking about your ideal, but yet you're putting limitations in there with, your husband's bad knees. Why not having that where his knees are not a problem anymore? That you both are able to enjoy yourselves. Why limit yourself to that? Why do that? If we're dreaming big, if we're thinking about things that are big, that's what we have to do. That's what we have to recognize and realize, that if it is something that we can already figure out, if our vision is already something that we feel like that we know how it can be done, it's not big enough. It has to be something that stretches us, has to be something that takes us beyond where we are now, something that, again, helps us to determine the fact that our vision for tomorrow determines our actions today, knowing that. And don't worry about the how. The how is above your pay grade. The how is the universe's job. Set the vision, cast the vision. And then the instruction goes on to say to write it down. Write it down. Speaking of the blueprint, writing it down is important. That is about giving form to the formless through clarity, intention, and commitment. Without a blueprint, Gandhi's vision would not still be being built today, but because he had a blueprint, because he'd written it down. And for our lives, we know how important it is writing things down, putting them in writing. It has, we know this, an effect on our minds. So we start talking about from neuroscience, the fact of writing something down, the impact that it has, having something there that we can refer to, having something there because along this way, along this journey, there are going to be challenges and obstacles and other things that come along. But taking the opportunity to look at those things that we have written, taking the opportunity to see those things and to understand where it is that we are headed when we get distracted. And it also can be a time of celebration, because as we are moving along, we could take the time to look back on those things and see how far we've come and to celebrate that. I was sharing with someone just the other day, a couple that I know that became also very successful, and how when they started out, they had, for their first apartment, they had an apartment, they had a mattress, they had a few things to cook with in the kitchen, and they had a big spool in the middle, one of those spools that they use for electrical work that you will see in their living room, that served as a table. But every night before they got ready to go to bed, they would sit down with a list of the things that they wanted to achieve and accomplish in their lives. And they'd written it down. They would read over it. They would spend time seeing themselves achieving those things. And as time went on, they would go back and cross them off because they had achieved them. As time went on, they were able to do that. But something about writing it down, having a blueprint, becomes important. And then waiting for its fulfillment. That's about trusting divine order and timing, even when the physical evidence is not yet there. Clearly, God believed in his vision, so much so that it had no alternative but to become a reality, even years after his passing. That is a powerful vision when it takes a life of its own. Turning a pile of rocks into a cathedral isn't difficult once you've embodied the vision. The universe conspires to support you and your vision if you're willing to stand on it and own it and to act on it. Stand on business. We are all visionaries. That is to say that we each hold in our mind a vision for our life. What it can or can't be, might or might not be, will or won't be. So the question really isn't, do you have a vision for your life? Because if you're alive, you have a vision. The real question is, what is your vision? Are you looking down at the rocks or up at the sky? Remember, the universe is listening, and it is already uploading your blueprints. It's the opportunity to cast your vision and to see and to understand that journey. I could think about how going way back to high school, when I was trying to form in my mind what it was that I wanted to do. And I think about a particular class where we had a project where we were divided up into groups, and we were to develop an advertising campaign for a particular product. And the product that my classmates and I had, there were three of us, was kitty litter. Now, that might not seem like something glamorous, but we tried to make something of it that was glamorous. And so we called it, Kitty Royale. And we had a spokesperson, and that spokesperson was a cat. He had a British accent, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And I really enjoyed it. And as I started thinking about it, I said, this might be something that I want to do. So I knew that at my church at the time where I attended, that there was a man who did something kind of similar to that, because I'd heard him talk about it. So when I went and shared with him our project, he said, well, that's really what I do in my line of work. He said, I'm in marketing. And so as I talked more about it, I decided that's what I want to do, marketing and advertising. So I went to college and I studied just that. I majored in advertising, and my degree was in journalism, but the specialization was advertising management, and I graduated. And as I was getting ready to graduate, I was looking forward to a job, in advertising. I already had my things picked out, that I was going to have a particular car that I liked. Back then it was the Mazda RX-7. I was going to have a nice place to live, have a pretty girlfriend. It's going to have nice clothes, and those things I was lining up in my head. there was always something in the back of my mind, but I just kind of pushed that back and I continued. And as I got ready to graduate, I had some things lined up for me. As a matter of fact, I had connections with people in two different companies that were located in two different cities, Greensboro, North Carolina, and Atlanta, Georgia. And in both cases, these weren't just people that worked at those companies, but people who had the authority to hire me. And so I had been in contact with both of them. They both said, when you graduate, let us know. One even already had my paperwork on her desk ready to submit to HR for me to come on board. And so right as I graduated, I did as I was told. The first job, the one in Atlanta, I called the gentleman and I told him I'm, graduated from school. I'm ready. He said, I was just getting ready to call you. Unfortunately, we have a 90-day hiring freeze at our company and there's nothing I could do. But check back with me in 90 days. And if you're still interested, we'll do the process about getting you in with our company. So shortly after that, I got a phone call from the other place, a woman in Greensboro, North Carolina. So I'm really sorry to tell you this, but we have a 90-day hiring freeze at our company. There's nothing I can do, but it's there, and I just had to let you know that. But by that time, what really was happening was in me. I knew that my father had been elected bishop in the CME Church. In that summer, we had at Grambling University something they have that is called Leadership Training School, and it's a time for people to come together, ministers, the missionaries, the lay, and the youth. And there's a lot of things that happen during that week with classes and activities and sessions. And so when I can remember getting there a particular day, and I decided to sit in the class with the ministers. And as the class was going on, I was listening to the man talk. I started thinking about, well, you think about the ministry, but no, there's a lot, it's a daunting task and there's a lot of responsibility. You already know that by having lived in the house of a minister, having a father as a minister all of these years. And as I started thinking about that, I started coming up with reasons why I couldn't be a minister. And I had 6 reasons that I had. Those sounded like good reasons. That's right. I'm on the right path. That's it. I'm, not, 6 reasons. And so as I walked out of the classroom and was walking down the hallway, one of my father's friends, a pastor who was visiting and was being a guest lecturer at the leadership training school, stopped me. And he said, John, I understand you just graduated from college. And I said, that's right. He said, what are you going to do? And before I could answer, he said, well, in this time that I've known you, I've observed that you have what I think are some of the gifts and graces for ministry. Have you ever considered ministry? And again, before I could answer, he continued to say, but I'm sure you have some objections. I'm sure you have some reasons why you wouldn't do that. And he proceeded to name all 6 of the reasons that I, in my mind, had already come up with in order, verbatim. And I stood there stunned, because how could he know what I was thinking in my own mind? But somehow something like that he already knew. And I just stood there. I, thanked him very much. I walked away. That was something that was heavy on my mind. And I can remember praying about it and looking for answers and trying to figure out what it was that I was going to do. And shortly after that, I decided to have a conversation with my father and tell him what I was thinking about, what was happening for me. And he kind of laughed and he said, well, I've always thought that these were his words, that God was messing with you, but I just wanted it to be your decision and not have any input. So I stepped behind, but he said, step back. But if you're going to go into the ministry, you need to go to seminary. So there's some places you can apply. Well, here I was. It was already in the middle of July, and I had a pretty good idea that their admissions process was probably closed, but I did it anyway. And I sent my application in to the seminary in Southern Methodist University, where I ended up ultimately attending. And sure enough, I got a response back, and they told me, we actually talked on the phone, and the admissions officer told me that they already had closed their admissions, but they had my paperwork. I could look at becoming enrolled back in that coming January. I said, okay, I'll spend this time doing the other things that I knew, because probably by that time, the 90 days will be over and I'd already have, that job either in Greensboro or Atlanta. So the process continued though, because she called me back a bit later to say, well, we decided that we were going to reopen admissions and we have accepted you, and said, come on. We've got a place for you. We've got a slot for you in the incoming class. We just don't have housing for you. But don't let that be a deterrent. We have financial aid approved for you, including housing. So just come on. And what we'll do is we'll cut you a check for that first semester for your housing, and you find an apartment that you can use that money for. But, we want you in the class. So I went. Of course, now because doors had started to come open, and I got there and I had, wonderful opportunity. And the thing that happened, while she initially said that I would just get the check for that first semester and then I could move on to campus after that, every semester until the time that I graduated for 4 years, I received the housing check from the university to continue with the apartments where I ended up staying. But all of that unfolded and things began to happen. And as I think about that, because ultimately, as I open myself up to the vision for my life, as I open myself up to all of that, then things happen. Things open up for me. And as I look at this and how things happen, I'm telling this story not because I'm bragging, but because as you start to figure things out in the midst of your vision, it's important to build on your victories. And this is always a victory that I look back upon and see what happened, because it helped to shape for me. Things started to unfold for me. And there were different changes I went through, but it's a way that I can look back on these things. Because when I think about it from a practical level, going back to my conversation where she said I deal with reality, things just didn't make sense how they opened up like they did. It doesn't make sense that I was able to get housing and get it paid for 4 years. It doesn't make sense, but it happened. Being confident and being assured that the universe is conspiring on your behalf is something that is important, because if you look at things from a practical level, then we get caught up in that. But I go back to Antonio Gotti. I'm sure that as he started the process and he started to cast his vision and idea, that back then, and we know this now, that there were some things that he had envisioned that at the time weren't even architecturally or mechanically possible. But now they are. As time progressed and the technology changed, all of that, it became something that was possible. But he envisioned it even back then. And now it's going up in the manner that he saw that. That when you cast your vision, and you are a visionary, let me say that again, you are a visionary. Understand that the universe is lining up with you, that the universe is conspiring on your behalf. And when you accept that, when you embrace that, and sometimes you've got to stand and say, Spirit, I don't know where this is going, but I know that you do. I don't know what's coming of this, but I know that deep within you do, and you're guiding and directing me toward that end. You're guiding and directing me toward the fulfillment of my vision. Because I know we like to control our dreams. We like to stand there and see how it is that things are going to happen. But again, the how is above your pay grade. Cast the vision, set the vision, write it down, understand it as you do so. Things will come forth and provide you with things unlike that which you've never seen before, because you are a visionary. Claim your visionary status. Say, I am a visionary. I am a visionary. I am a visionary. I have a vision for my life, and I understand and that I know that my vision for tomorrow determines my actions today. Amen, ashe, and so it is.
I am a child of this universe. The ocean dances at my feet. The wind plays a melody through my hair. I am loved at every turn. I am kissed by Mother. I am a child of this universe. The sun warms me in its embrace. The stars have a light for me in the sky. I am honored by all life. I am held by Father Time. Every